Hello, we are Poetic Justice Productions, and we're here today to look at the connection between the harbour town of Irvine, Scotland and Edgar Allan Poe.
Now Irvine's a town with a proud heritage, but also sometimes a very dark and indeed bloody one.
Edgar Allan Poe came to the town of Irvine with his foster family, and then he attended the local grammar school.
But did his time at the nearby churchyard inscribing the epitaphs of murderers, martyred and drowned children around his own age influence his later career?
Let's take a look. Edgar Allan Poe is renowned as one of America's greatest authors. From the creeping gothic nightmare of the Black Cat and the Pit and the Pendulum to his astonishing poems such as The Raven, his work spawned whole avenues of literature such as the crime drama, murder mystery and of course horror. Rightly he is regarded as an American icon. However, many people will be unaware that the young Edgar spent a brief but formative part of his childhood in Scotland, here in the harbour town of Irvine in Ayrshire to be precise. And the purpose of this short film is to provide a snapshot of Poe's life during his time in the town. Born in Boston in January 1809, Poe was the second child of English-born actress Elizabeth Arnold Hopkins Poe and the actor David Poe Jr. But the family were not together for long. His father disappeared a year after Poe was born, and just a year later his mother died of consumption. But the orphaned Edgar seemingly landed on his feet. All three Poe children were taken in by well-to-do families. And little Edgar landed in the home of merchant John Allan and his wife Frances. Now Allan left the town of Irvine, Scotland to make his fortune in America. But in 1815, that fortune not yet made, John Allan brought his family, including a 6-year-old Edgar, back to his hometown in Scotland. He hoped to make trade deals before returning to the States. And the busy harbour town of Irvine, many believe, would have a lasting effect on the young Poe. Irvine is a historic town. In fact, modern Irvine includes the oldest continually inhabited village in Europe. A few years back in Dreghorn, on the outskirts of the town, archaeological remains were found which date back to the Mesolithic age. That's between 15,000 and 5,000 years ago. Many great names from history walk these streets, including King John I, who inherited the lands until they were seized by his rival for the throne, the future King Robert the Bruce. Years later, Mary Queen of Scots is believed to have spent a night at Irvine's castle. A summer festival in her honour called Mirimus is still held in the town every August.
Mirimus really is something special. It's been running since medieval times and was originally believed to have been a religious festival, but that's changed over the years.
Aye, it certainly has. What we're seeing here is the Mirimus parade passing Mary Allan's house, led by the riders of the town's carter trade, who once used horses to carry goods shipped into Irvine from Europe and England up to Glasgow.
The festival lasts for 10 days, culminating in the crowning of the Mirimus Queen and her 4 attendants, known as the 4 Marys. When she came to Irvine, Mary Queen of Scots was accompanied by her 4 ladies-in-waiting, and guess what? They were all called Mary.
Mirimus concludes with a day of events on Irvine Moor, with horse racing, fun fairs, music, food and drink. And also a rather odd event known as the Greasy Pole, where teams compete to reach the top of a, you guessed it, extremely large greased pole to grab a big ham.
It's spectacular, messy and often results in broken limbs, but the prize is worth it. Whoever grabs the ham gets to show it off in Irvine's many pubs, with a free drink for the winning team in each one.
A colourful festival indeed. Yet it was in Irvine, some say, that the young Edgar's interest in graveyards, entombment and all things ghoulish first emerged. Now when Poe sailed the Atlantic in 1815, Irvine was known as a prosperous harbour on the Firth of Clyde. Poe appears to have viewed the sailing with some trepidation, as John Allan writes a day before departure that Ned, Edgar, cared but a little about it, poor fellow. However, 3 months later, in a letter from Greenock, John Allan passed on the following message from his young foster son. Edgar says, Pa, say something for me. Say I was not afraid coming across the sea. Young Poe arrived in Irvine to be welcomed by the sister of his guardian John Allan. Mary Allan had a home in the centre of the town and was delighted to welcome Master Poe. During his stay, Poe must have often stood to watch the ships in the harbour, or crossed the river on excursions with his father's young cousins and nephews, the Gaults, or Folds boys, to Seagate or Stone Castle nearby, both now picturesque ruins. Yet Irvine also has a dark history.
In 1618, the town was at the heart of an appalling miscarriage of justice, which saw 2 women burned at the stake as witches. Another 2 suspects died in custody while awaiting their fate. The trial caused a scandal across Scotland, and the author, Sir Walter Scott, later wrote about it in depth. Poe was almost certainly made aware of these tales.
Irvine also had a literary reputation,
Oh, yes.
no small feat for a town in Scotland. The famous Ayrshire poet Robert Burns, he stayed here. From 1781 to 1782, 2 years learning his trade as an apprentice flax dresser, making fine linen. He lived in the Glasgow Venno, right here, just round the corner from the Allan family home. John Galt, he was born in Irvine as well, in 1779.
You're right, you're very right. And John Galt's regarded as the first political author. And his famous book, The Provost, is based on life in Irvine in the 1810s. At exactly the same time, Edgar Allan Poe came to Scotland. And by coincidence, Galt's also a blood relation of the Allan family.
Good literary tradition. Let's go.
Edgar attended Irvine Grammar School during the summer of 1815 for an undetermined period. Some say he was there for just a month or so. Others claim he schooled there for longer. There seems little doubt that Poe was joined in class by several of his cousins from the Allan and Galt families. The grammar school, at the head of the Kirkgate, Templeton's bookshop, beloved by Burns, was in the nearby square. And right next door was Irvine's burial ground, near the river, where all the Allan family were buried.
So this is a churchyard. It's a bit spooky.
Do you want to make a run for it?
No. I'll be alright, I think.
It's quite weird being here because the place over there, that's where Poe's old school stood, and they used to send him here to write down the epitaphs on some of the tombstones.
I can't imagine being 6 years old, copying things down, rubbing the stones of renowned people, drowned sailors, and kids that were even younger than he was.
Yeah. Shall we?
After you.
Irvine historian Billy Kerr has referred to the grave of a ship captain, which may well have had an impact on Poe after his troublesome crossing over the Atlantic. Pray, gentle reader, drop a tear at his untimely fate. You, like him, may dread no fear and dangers you await. He that gave can take away that life that was his own, either on the briny seas or lands in a frozen zone. So did Poe's time spent amongst the graves colour his future life? It was an impressionable time for the young man, in a country far different than his own. And given his body of work and bouts of melancholia, perhaps Irvine's old graveyard did indeed leave its mark on his later years. It was the Allan family's intention for Poe to remain at the Irvine School while they took care of business deals in London. But Poe, backed by his foster mother, objected. Reports say he made an increasing fuss and spent his school days sulking and refusing to study. After some time, the Allans gave in, and Poe joined his stepfather in London. His business prospects in Scotland and England somewhat floundering, John Allan made the decision to return to America with his family.
Over the last few years, our company, Poetic Productions, has staged a small festival to commemorate Edgar Allan Poe's life in Irvine.
And in the future, funding permitting, we hope to stage a much larger event with plays based on Poe's work, some original material, music, markets and all sorts of things.
And if you're ever in Scotland, look us up. We'd be delighted to welcome you.